I'm going to call to order a special board meeting at 6:02 p.m. Mr. Shope, could I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Brian Anderson?
Here.
Spencer Anderson?
Here.
Amy Levy?
Here.
Sean Levy?
Present.
Megan Miller?
Present.
Greg Schneider?
Present.
Joanne Winfield? And Board Member Winfield is absent. All other board members are present, either virtually or in the boardroom.
Okay. Is there a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Amy Levy and seconded by Board Member Greg Schneider. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. You're on to 2A, approval of the ad hoc referendum committee membership. And you should see the list and the names that are there.
So moved.
Second.
One more time.
Do I have to abstain due to my brother being on the list?
Well, I don't think it's a they. So like this, you could abstain or you could vote. It's your call on whether you think it's a conflict of interest. He is an elected official, and just was brought to make a recommendation to the committee. I don't see where you have anything to gain from it, but I don't. You have to make your own evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way. All right. Was there a motion for the acceptance of the list?
There was.
Was there a second?
This is
There
Megan.
was.
I'll second. If no
Okay,
one
so-
seconded.
So the motion was made by? So many things happen. I just missed that one.
Hey, no problem. Here to help. Amy Levy.
Motion by Amy Levy, seconded by
Brian Anderson.
Brian Anderson. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Are you abstaining? Okay. And any nays or abstentions?
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. So the motion passes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 yays and 1 abstention.
Point of clarification,
Yes.
that was for both lists, correct?
Yes. Both lists.
Okay, thank you.
All right. 3A adjournment.
So moved.
Moved by Board Member Levy.
Second.
Who was that?
Greg.
Okay, seconded by Board Member Greg Schneider. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. And we are adjourned from our special board meeting. If you want to stay on, you're welcome to stay on. We'll be starting in about 4 minutes.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you. All right, everyone, it's 6:10, so we're getting ready to start the other meeting. All right. Let me know you're back in. Because the committee is Spencer, Megan, and myself. Other board members may be participating. All right, Megan, are you on?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I am.
All right. Okay, I'm going to call to order the Governance Committee meeting at 6:11 p.m. Mrs. Shope, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Spencer Anderson,
Present.
Megan Miller,
Present.
Sean Levy.
Present.
All members are present, either virtually or in the boardroom.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Board Member Spencer Anderson and seconded by Board Member Megan Miller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Board Member Megan Miller and seconded by Board Member Spencer Anderson. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. 2A, Superintendent Evaluation Model, dates, updates, and dates. All right, and Dr. Garrison.
Thank you, board members. I have been in contact with Wendy Zerk from CISA 6, and we have had the opportunity to discuss a few dates, as you see on the board docs. December 17th as possible meeting dates for the evaluation conversation. Saturday, December 17th, January 6th, or January 14th, 2023. These are the 3 dates that she did share as possible meeting opportunities. I will say she also shared that she is also available on some weeknights for this 2-hour conversation. She did state that it will be at least 2 hours for this conversation for the evaluation. I suggested the December 17th as a permanent hold on her calendar because she is booking up. And so if we could settle on a possible date tonight, I can get this information over to her as early as tomorrow, and she will solidify those dates and times. If there are additional times during the weekday that you all would prefer, I would need to know those tonight, and Mrs. Shope will indicate those times to Mrs. Zerk tomorrow.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I may, I did send out an email to the board membership knowing that the December 17th date was what Dr. Garrison was suggesting. And I had 5 members return that they were able to do the 17th. I had not heard from Board Member Winfield, and I did not hear from Board President Levy.
All right. So we got, so right now we got 5 on the 17th?
We have 5 members that it works for.
All right, so then we'll make that, I think we're fine with the doodle poll and that consensus to move forward with the 17th then. 17. So, thank you for that information. So what I would say is, I'm fine with the 17th. And everyone else already answered that they're available. So that's 6 or 7, and, Jawan and I can fit into that mix. So give her the date of the 17th then. The big thing I'll say about this is we're walking our way through and just having the communication. Again, for us as a board, it was important, one, that we evaluate the superintendent. Also, like for all 7 of us to be calibrated in the work. And the thing to think about with a lot of the stuff that we have in front of us is we're not just thinking about the 7 of us as we sit in the seat, but trying to leave a pattern of work to follow behind for other boards so that as we have increased our stability in terms of people fulfilling their terms of office, that we have practices that the next people can add to. So we're very happy to get the training for the DAPES model and begin with that, and to sit with the superintendent as we do that together on the 17th. Board Member Anderson or Miller, you have anything to add for a superintendent evaluation model?
No, sir.
All right. Board Member Anderson.
I have nothing to add.
All right, so we'll move on to the next item. Item 2B, Superintendent Update on District Reconfiguration.
Yes, thank you, Board President Levy. So, first of all, I'd like to thank the entire community for their overwhelming support and the conversation around the reconfiguration. We did share the survey out yesterday, and I'm happy to report that we have over 800 plus responses from the community in less than 24 hours. Our goal, and I don't mind sharing it, is to get a little over 2,000 plus respondents on the survey, as it gives us a nice snapshot as it pertains to kind of what we want our communication to look like moving forward. The overwhelmingly, I want to pull up some of the survey results as it stands. Overwhelmingly, I will say that from the 1 day snapshot, there is a need for us to have this discussion. A lot of people have responded that they are looking forward to a possible reconfiguration conversation. With over, 1 second, with over a little over 80+% of our constituents at the current time mentioning that they are ready to move forward with a different configuration. Overall, I do believe that when you look at the question, when you look at the question, do we want to participate in the committee? We've had overwhelmingly about 23% of our staff mention that they want to be a part of the committee. But with over 800 people and 23%, that gives us almost 200 or so people that said that they would like to participate and even being on the committee to talk more about the reconfiguration. Please note our first meeting date. I have not shared out yet because I want to have this conversation first with this committee. Our first meeting date for this conversation with the committee will be on December the 8th. That is not publicly out there yet, but again, that is the date that we are going to move forward with this first conversation as an entire committee on December 8th. Sometime next week or between now and, of course, December 8th, I will also be sending out emails to everyone who possibly have chosen to be a part of the committee. Of course, 200 people is a lot, and so we have to figure out the best way to look at that list and see how many people can actually participate. But overall, I'm very happy to know that we have so many people that would love to have this conversation in our community. I would like to thank Mrs. Teresa Mortek, of course, the cabinet, and of course, Mrs. Monica Christopa, who have helped me tirelessly in making sure that this gets out into many venues. As a district, as it stands, there were 3 main pieces that I wanted everyone to take a look at as it pertains to reconfiguration, and the elementary model with the traditional, but a 4K through 5th grade, 6th and then 8th grade model had the most support at the current time, followed by the K3 and K4 Learning Center with a K5 through kindergarten through 5th grade, then 6, 8, 9, 12 had the second highest conversations, and then of course the last option had the least amount of respondents. Overall, it was pretty much a 45-35 split between the traditional model and the special, I like to say special K3, K4 Learning Center, then K5, 6, 8. What's coming is right now is in second place. Not to say second place, but was the highest second respondent. Again, that is our current snapshot of the survey. Please be very attentive to any information that the survey has, and please share that with the rest of the community if you get a chance and if you're under this conversation. So again, thank you.
Board members, any questions?
No questions?
This is Megan. I just want to actually just say thank you. You know, as a parent on the receiving end, I've gotten so much like good, clear communication and requests for engagement. So I'm not surprised to see that you've gotten such a positive response. And I think overall so far, this has been really well executed.
Thank you.
Okay, Board Member Levy.
Yeah, Dr. Garrison, thank you for moving so quickly on this. And I'm really excited that we've had so much early participation with the survey. What time is the meeting scheduled for on December 8th? Do we have that yet? So
I don't have that time yet. I know that week there's a few meetings that we have here at the board level meeting as well, and I was trying to kind of balance that a little bit. And so at the current time, I'm leaning towards 6 o'clock, but I will definitely get more information out as that day gets a little earlier. But thank you for asking.
Yep, thank you.
Let me back up. I'm sorry. This committee, I was actually trying to have as early as possible, thinking that a lot of our parents may want to pick up their kids and then possibly drop them off and come back, and then be back home at a reasonable time. But again, Board Member Levy, I'm leaning toward 5 and 6 o'clock. I should be more specific with that. Thank you.
This is Megan. I just have a quick question to that point. Is there any way that we could figure out some kind of like on-site childcare situation? Like, do the childcare classes at the high school need some practicum hours so we could accommodate people who don't have somewhere to bring their kids during that time?
Great suggestion. I will say the first meeting was going to be at the high school based off of the high response. I do have an agenda for that meeting. I haven't shared that out yet, but I do have an agenda for that meeting as well. That is something that I could possibly look into, Board Member Miller.
Cool, thanks.
So I have a question on the survey. Mm-hmm. The survey went out to all parent guardians in the district, those that are connected to the students, or who did the survey go out to?
So the survey went out to all of our constituents, both community, students, parents and/or guardians, and then of course board members, administration, and teachers. So I wanted everyone that represents the school district of Beloit to have a say-so in this conversation. And on the survey, I was also very specific about what group do you represent, and so that way we were able to capture kind of what groups each person's response will represent. So if you're a student, of course, click student, and then they get to answer the questions. Gotcha. So forth.
Board Member Levy.
Thank you. You already started to answer my question, but of the 800 replies we've received, do you have the data in front of you? If not, you can just email us later. That's fine. Of what percentage of those 800 respondents are educators, are parent, guardian, community members?
Sure. So I do have that information in front of me right now. From the student groups, it's a little over 9.4%. This is as of just 24 hours, of course. The parent group represent 42.4%. The staff member group represented 44.2%. And the community group, it's a little under 9%, but it doesn't give me the actual hard numbers on this graph. So it's a little under 9% for the community member group.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Just one last one. And how long will the survey be out? It went out yesterday, and it'll be out till when?
The survey will be open until I'm sorry, give me 1 second. I look at my calendar. I think we got the survey set for December the 5th, but it also states it on the survey, and I apologize, I don't have that information right in front of me.
It's okay.
But I think I have it set for December the 5th as the last day to participate on the survey. And the reason being is because December 8th is that first meeting, but I believe it's December the 5th, Board President Levy.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have more on that as we come. Any other board members have questions about our district reconfiguration? All right.
Can I add one more thing? I'm
Go for
sorry.
it. You got it.
I need to just note this. To the question, how satisfied are you with our current school configuration? I think it's very important that I note that from the almost 900 respondents, 860 plus to be exact, over 70% said that they were not satisfied with our current configuration. 28% said that they were neutral. Thank you.
All right, kind of where I thought we were at. That most people be like, "Hey, change that."
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with having more information to go along with that to support that feeling that is out there. Item 2C, board self-evaluation update. So we do, as a board, we've taken on the Wisconsin Association School Board Annual Development Tool. We're a little bit, we kind of said that we would go biannually twice a year, looking at ourselves in around the October timeframe and the April timeframe after elections, or March, right before elections, and then giving those that have been elected to the board time to sit and serve and have a better perspective to make some of the decisions about our work. Mrs. Shope, I know you started the communication with them. Do you have an update on when we'll have the tool available to us?
Yes, I have the information, and it's farther down in your board report.
Okay.
There's a link there, so you can decide on a date that you want, like a window that you want open for the board members to start taking it, and that link can be provided to all of the members. And then the password would allow you to
Gotcha.
check to see that everybody's taken it, and then you can ask school perceptions again for that nominal fee to do the analysis and stuff.
All right. So what I would say, speaking to the board members on the committee, and I know this is kind of put you on the spot, Ms. Shope, can you go back to maybe like our last meeting and all the documents that I had, because I did have some questions there from the document is the last evaluation that we have, just so I can kind of feature that on the screen. So
Okay.
you're sharing screen. So I'm going to take a little bit more time here on this one. In between, I don't know, Board Member Miller or Board Member Anderson, you have any thoughts or things that you want to share with our self-evaluation?
Are you just asking like in general or about this next one?
Well, I mean, in general, and then, you know, in general, or different points, as as we continue to take it, there might be some things that you're seeing and wanting to bring attention to, but.
Yes. And so I would say that just like any other evaluation, I think it's incredibly important for us to do it. I like that we're doing it twice a year. I know we missed our October piece, but I get that, we have like a billion things going on. So it's like totally understandable, but I do think we should aspire to continue to that twice a year model. But I think that it's really only of value if then after we discuss and debrief on it, we take steps to address, whether it's through board development or some other work that we do, whatever those kind of opportunities for growth are. And I think also take the opportunity to highlight, kind of growth over time and really showcase like the importance of that development. Because I mean, I think like we're in a position where we can demonstrate through our action and our own practice, like, here's some things we've worked on, here's where growth has occurred, this is the importance of that continuous improvement mindset. And again, hopefully that mindset and practice will kind of cascade throughout the district, because we want to sort of like lead by example, right? So those are pretty much just my general thoughts on the board development. I think it's useful and I think we should continue doing it in, overall.
Gotcha. Thank you. Mr. Shope, are you close to ready there? I saw you kind of had it. I'll kind of ask you to coordinate and move us through some pages there. So if you can get us to page 3, just highlight. Yeah, as we're looking, I think the other thing that I would say is that, you know, there can be a lot of commentary about what we are doing as a board, but I think that, again, and we'll probably, I think we should work with Ms. Christopa too to have a longer communication piece about this when it comes out again to kind of explain what it is that we're doing. But like I said, for people to really understand, like, what is our work aligned to? Where is this coming from? I think that this will really help people to understand what we're doing, and what we have been doing. Like I said, I'm just going to highlight a couple things through this. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I'll get that technology sometimes is.
Board President Levy,
Yes.
are we planning on doing another board development piece? I just couldn't remember if we set a date for that.
Yeah, that'll come up. We have to have a conversation with myself and Dr. Garrison, and then we'll be speaking to Drew, and then we'll get Mr. Howick to us.
Sounds good.
No, it's a different part. What'd you say? Okay.
I have it open, but I can't get it to pull in to present so that they can all.
Gotcha. All right. Right. Okay. That's fine. I'll highlight some things. So the first part, like with the survey, is as a board, our work is broken into 9 sections, and the 7 of us are asked questions about data-driven decision-making, board operations, culture, planning, budgeting, district operations, community engagement, policy, and vision. And the items in each category are scored against a rubric. So we're either answering that we fully achieve these things, that this is an area of notable strength that could serve as a model for other districts, or that they're mostly achieved, that our performance is acceptable, but future improvements might be considered over the coming years, or that things are partially achieved, performance needs improvement this year, or not achieved or started. This is an area where immediate improvement should be considered, or not sure. This is an area where I have neither observed nor have knowledge of our district's practices. And of course, like as a new school board member, that might be a place that people are answering. So that's why we staggered it. So there's 2 years in there. One of the things that'll show up again, and this comes from the key work of school boards, that vision, accountability, policy, community leadership, relationships, and equity. Those are that's where we're being measured at. In our last report, the key work action areas, we had improved in relationships, that our average was 3.39, and where the state's average was 3.18. And so our difference there was 0.21. But that's an important part for us when we consider the history of our board, and that we stabilize relationships among the people that are serving together so that we can achieve things for the district. And we made gains in all the other areas too. But the thing that I would note for this survey is that Out of those key areas of relationships, community leadership, policy, accountability, vision, and equity, that right now relationships is the only one that we have in the green, having eclipsed the state average, trying to get to at least a score of 3, where we can answer that we are partially achieved, that our performance needs improvement, or that or in that mostly achieved area. Secondly, I just want to highlight a couple of these spaces to kind of illustrate, where we're at. Like in the first section, data-driven decision-making. We manage by facts and our decisions are data-driven. Our curriculum development process ensures culturally relevant learning experiences for our students. We have a schedule and a protocol to review data and program performance. We examine district data that has been disaggregated into subgroups to ensure the success of all students. We benchmark test results against districts with similar demographics and prior performance over previous years. We have a process that ensures our students of color are participating in advanced coursework, the arts and extracurricular programs at the same level as our white students. And in many of those sections in that data-driven decision space, our answers are in the 2 and the 1 category. And the reason for that is because as board members, that is our collective thought that those things have not yet been achieved or started. We don't see those things. And so when we come to the work that we'll be asking Dr. Garrison and the administrators to do, some of those direct asks that we have are going to come from the board development survey that we are taking, because the only way that we can answer these questions differently than we've answered them in the past is that we have our administrators provide for us information that has not been there. We're looking at that section of board operations, where we're in the 3s, overall 3.58, where we have worked that space. Most significantly, I would note, like the last one, we have an effective orientation process for new board members. And we started last year on working on that process, and we were able to bring board member Brian Anderson and Winfield along in a different format. So this will be our first time answering that from our last meeting. So that's what the tool is used for, is for us to set goals for our work and then come back and measure and make sure that we're actually working to those goals. Again, with culture, our board models mutual respect and professional behavior. We value differences of opinion and do not let them degenerate into personal conflicts. 2 4s across right there. We work with the superintendent in a spirit of mutual respect, open communication, trust, and confidence. Even when we get down to the bottom in that one, our community believes the district is effectively governed and makes decisions with best interests of students in mind. That's our opinion of what we think our community is saying about us. And like I said, I think that where we landed on that one is a space that we're saying that there's some improvement. When we get to the planning process, those are questions, again, about reviewing the district's facility and maintenance needs, district's non-instructional support services, risk management comes up, and then even look at that budgeting section. For some of the things that we're dealing with right now, we evaluate the district's financial statements on a monthly basis, which we do in the business operations and finance meeting. I understand the basic principles of school finance, including state, federal, and local sources of income in the school district's budgeting cycle. Our budget process includes determining if and when referenda are needed. We make staffing and budget decisions based on student achievement priorities. Our community believes the district is a responsible steward of its financial resources. So these questions are coming back around. Here's one for district operations. We have initiatives in place to facilitate leadership succession in key administrative positions. When we think about our executive director of business operations, that's a position that's been open for about a year. Those are some things that we need to address. We regularly communicate our academic priorities and achievement results to the parents and the public, another space in district operations. So some of the other questions that are here that we have to answer for ourselves as a board will come across in the things that we're asking Dr. Garrison and his team to do. Like I said, so that when we get to the April survey, we can answer differently than we may answer this time around. You see in that community engagement section, we regularly communicate our financial needs to the public in an easy to understand format. Well, that's something that's going to happen through this ad hoc committee as they study our need for a referenda. Our board has communicated our commitment to equity to those we serve. We regularly communicate with our legislators on a particular subject or bill, you know, as we consider this surplus that the state will have. What is our legislative action going to be? So as we go through the survey, it gives us an opportunity to focus and come out of that with a set of actions that as board members we may choose to take again. All right. And look in policy, the last section on page 17. We are successful at attracting and retaining high quality employees. So that's another area. I feel we did that in our superintendent search, but we still got other areas to fill. And then if you look in the vision section, our vision and top priority is student achievement. We clearly communicate our vision to our staff, parents, and community. We just had the rolling out of our strategic plan. So that is before everybody. We have a process that allows key stakeholders, administrator, staff, parents, and the community to help create, refine our vision and strategic priorities, even as evidence with this district reconfiguration survey that is going out, the participation of our ad hoc committee, that those processes are being developed and implemented. We've established clear strategies to accomplish our vision. And we know that the administrative team will be working to develop those action steps that goes along with the categories that are there in our strategic plan. And we'll talk about that in a minute. But in general, and then we also have in the comments section, there's a space for us to do some writing. And in this, as we've gone through the 2 times that we've done it, I have written, but I think it's important for board members to also share some of the writing to kind of explain, because I think that it'll be important for boards that follow after us to see some of the things that we have written to help them in their work also. But like I said, we're taking this twice a year. And for me, like I say, it refocuses us to pull, like the right levers for change. As 7 board members, we're trying to do the things that only the 7 of us can do together, achieve through a collective voice. You know, we're not the superintendent, we're not the principal, the teachers, or any of the staff members in the day-to-day. But there are some priorities that we have to set and then measure out to make sure that they've happened. And that's really what that evaluation is based on. And we're judging our progress in that work. So that'll come out again. And I'll work with Mr. Shope. We'll get that out and we'll get that done. We should get that done within December, so we can start the new year looking at those results. So we'll have to call back on school perceptions. All right. Anybody else with anything for 2C? All right. 2D, strategic plans, goals, driving agenda items.
Would you like me to start with that?
I can start. Sure.
Got it.
So first of all, thank you, board, for actually thinking about our strategic plan naturally and putting this into a governance council conversation. I think when you think about our strategic plan, it actually gives us an opportunity to kind of lay out where we want to go as a school district. Not only does it lay out where we want to go as a school district, but it also, as Board President Levy has stated, kind of gives everyone else that come before us and are behind us the actionable items in which we can actually move our school district forward. I do believe that strategic plans are at its heart aspirational, but I also believe that strategic plans have the opportunity to really have an impact in the school district if it's detailed followed. And I believe right as it stands right now, we want to even align ourselves in this conversation with how we want agenda items to be possibly even moved forward with the strategic plan in mind. As in the strategic plan, I will have Mrs. Shope share with you all some of the information that pertains to our 5 categories that we can possibly think about as it pertains to aligning ourselves with the strategic plan and how we actually put items in our agenda items and then into our agendas for board meetings. My apologies. First, we believe that an equity conversation, equity agenda item could be placed, followed by culture and leadership, whole child engagement, and then finance. And I'll allow Mrs. Shope to explain more in detail as pertains to this overview. Mrs. Shope?
Sure. So in the past, with strategic plans, on the back side of board docs, I can build those items in. So the items that Dr. Garrison just spoke about, the equity, culture and leadership, whole child engagement, and finance, would each be put into the back side of board docs. So when one of our administrators or Dr. Garrison or even I go in and put in a board report that's going to come forward, so let's just take, for example, the superintendent update on district reconfiguration. There will be an item that comes up. I'm just going to save the one I was working on. There'll be an item that comes up on that board report. So above, like the public content, which is what you see in the content section of the meeting. But when you're looking at it and it's like up by where it says if there's a budget or not, or up by the recommended motion, there's an area where it'll ask which of the goals or priorities in, they'll call them goals in the board docs portion of the program, but there'll be these strategic plan priorities. And so it'd be which of these priorities, or we can actually go and pull out the goals and put the goals in. But I think the priorities would work if that's what you wanted it to do. And then for that particular board report, he could have chosen which one he think it would best be. So he might have felt like whole child might have been the best choice for how he felt that board report related back to the strategic plan, or he might have said engagement because of how we're engaging kids or the families. So it could also be a financial thing. So he could pick which board goal or strategic plan goal fits with his board report. So we would be asking every administrator or person who puts in a board report to make that decision, which makes them more conscious of what we're trying to do with the strategic plan and how we're trying to move forward with the district.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that I would add, like in the conversation, is I think that it'll develop over time. I know Dr. Garrison and I, we've had conversations about how we are agenda setting for the purpose of our meetings, trying to control content to make sure that we're capitalizing on the stamina that all board members and administrators have at the end of the day. And so I would say we're not 100% ready yet to how we'll drop these things in forms and how they come out. But we do have to begin, as we said, to focus the conversations so that the strategic plan is alive and in front of people as we're working. I think that, let's say one of the things that I've shared with board member Megan Miller before is that in becoming the board president, just didn't really understand or underestimated the amount of work that the board president did with the superintendent, with the board secretary, to get the agendas together, and then to work our way through meetings as the number of different things come up. When we have clear goals, like we're trying to hire a superintendent, but then other things are coming along. So I think that will definitely help. I think in some of the early conversations that we had with Dr. Garrison about working with his team to be prepared to present to board members. And so what I would just kind of like, the first part is, I don't know, I can't quite say how it'll come across yet, but I know that we'll end up working together to shape this. Like I said, we might not even be 3 meetings in yet, working together. But it'll get shaped where the things that are presented, there'll be a clear alignment to the strategic priority area that they're coming from. So, like I said, it does say it's a work in progress to get those things lined up. So, other board members, you have thoughts, questions, or concerns right now on that part?
This is Megan. I'm just really happy to hear all of that. I think that having one thing that I think is important is just to have like kind of those anchor items that we know are kind of high yield topics like academics and the budget, like on every agenda, so that we can, even though we know that like things are in motion, I think it's important to make that transparent and clear to the community. And I think it's also really grounding for us to kind of conceptualize our meetings that way. So I just think this is wonderful.
I really do like. So I really like the idea of us actually kind of like doing something like this where, I mean, it's something small, but it's, as Megan said, it's kind of like an anchoring thing for us where it's like, yeah, this thing actually pertains to these things, which is driving us towards our strategic plan. So, I like the small things.
Yeah. One of the other things I would add too is, even as like I said, we still are refining our orientation for new board members as we come up on new things that are not covered in the slideshow that we created. We'll have to drop that back on the agenda. But then also too, one of the things that we've talked about is that the 7 of us have operated in one way, having worked with Dr. Kieser and then moved through the summer and with Dr. Anderson. But now we're at a different phase and stage with our team members that is, 7 board members and Dr. Garrison. And so coming together, like our patterns of communication, understanding how we're working in the meetings, kind of like the norms that we've already developed that are not specifically written down yet, but, how we've worked through the committee structures and made sure that things come up twice. So as we've discussed at an earlier time, as board members, you're being asked to make decisions about, thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, but you're not making that decision on the first night, having the opportunity to see it, understand it, and about a month to ask questions, then coming back to take action. So kind of just really feeling, really still, we're, you've been here 8 days now. So he's been here 8 days. So we're still trying to, fill in that space. And I'll just give an example. Like even when we think about our Human Resource Committee meeting, at the time when we developed that, when we're meeting twice, the structure of 30 minutes, it worked in the beginning. But when we had to do things like investigations and you had some different hearings that are happening, realize that a 30-minute space is not really appropriate or going to hold. So sometimes we worked our way all the way through something that we put in place to help us to realize that we need something new now. So that's kind of another place that we'll get to. One of the other things that I would kind of just add, and I'll just kind of give an example, even for me, the thing that I've begun to do is to streamline some of my thinking as a board president into when I look at our strategic plan, what are the things that fall in that space? So as an example, like with finance, we have our ad hoc committee to study the referendum that is moving forward today. In finance, we've still got some key administrative leadership hires in business operations and finance to make. And then continuing referendum planning and budgeting are some things that, will be continuous. When you think about our whole child, which is that section that covers like academic achievement for our students, We're currently currently in that reconfiguration discussion as a board. Be leading us towards some conversation about identifying, redefining readiness targets as goals for academic achievement. Like what should middle schoolers and elementary school students be moving towards? We haven't made a formal declaration of those things. We've got our BMHS Forward NGL Academies work. So all those things, that whole child is that achievement section. With equity, once we have scorecards and we can look at how our district is performing, our school, and then even students, we've mentioned that we need a data warehouse tool, that what is happening in the district on that level. And then even we had some other equity work going forward, but even discussing equity audit to set a foundational level in the district and the work that we're doing. Lots of different things happening there. Engagement, we've already taken up our athletics policies, but arts and activities, the type of investments that we're going to make for our children, and things that really will put our children out front so people can see the achievement of our students in our district, and engagement, exploring like Neola policy services to work in our policy development. And then as we see with this reconfiguration and the discussion of our ad hoc committees, and then if we were to go to referendum, some informational sessions, that there's a higher level and a need for community engagement sessions. One of the things looking in that culture and leadership category of the strategic plan, it talks about providing evaluations for employees, so there's a continuous improvement process. And again, as we discussed, our board development tool, where we are evaluating ourselves, we're working in that adoption of the DAPES model for the superintendent, and we've already had presentations about other EE items. That's kind of where we're at. And like I said, just to, we're the appropriate spaces for board members to make sure that those structures, those things are in place, that certain priorities have been set, and then to allow our administrators to go out there and do that work and bring results back for us. So that's kind of, one thing in, as board members, that even for our own thoughts, when we start thinking about things, where does it line up at? What strategic plan area does that fall into? Because we've got to begin to sort the work, because as an example, for Dr. Garrison coming in, we've got referendum work and a reconfiguration. Those are two very big pieces, to move and be tasked with in the beginning. And for ourselves, we had to hire a superintendent and get to this referendum stuff. So it's a space of like, there's lots of things to do, but we have to balance the work out, communicate, plan it out, and then just give ourselves time to get those things done, and then continue to show our community over time that these are our anchor documents. This is our strategic plan. This is the superintendent's evaluation. This is the board's evaluation. And people can see that connection between all of that work that is happening, that things are not just coming out of thin air, but there's a plan, and we're moving methodically towards improvement. Yeah.
Thanks, real quick. So as a superintendent, I want to say, again, thank you to the school board, and again for the time that you all have put into trying to make sure that we're organized. Now that is very important in moving a school district forward. It takes planning, and it does take a lot of time. And if we are methodical at how we want to move our school district forward, I believe from a governance perspective, we will meet the goals in which we're trying to attain. I believe that, and I've shared this with board members and individual conversations, that clear communication equals precise goals. And clear communication equals precise goals. There's not much you have to think about in that statement. As long as we're clear in our communications, we will eventually move towards precise goals. And I think that's what we have been real methodical about. From what I could see being here for, I know board president says 7 days. 8 days. It's been 7 days. Tomorrow's my 8th day. And so, being here for these 8 days, I can honestly say that I see where the board has tried to navigate us to in the school district from a governance perspective. And again, that communication has been kind of again thorough throughout many different processes. Now we're starting to move towards the goals in that clear communication, which actually to me makes big impact over time. And so again, I want to say thank you to the board for being very clear in its communication as to what we have done. Now we need to start moving towards some of those goals. Again, naturally in the school district, you want to do everything, right? You want to, but there's only 10 hours in a day, or 8 hours in a day, whatever time frame you have, and then naturally another day comes, and I link that back to what I've been saying all along. To continuous improvement. And so we make improvements every day. You will eventually move towards the goals that you really want to see. And so that's why I believe we are, as a school district, as one of the leaders in the school district, I say this all the time. It is our goals to move. It is our goal and my personal goal to move the needs of our school district forward. Those needs oftentimes are definitely in alignment with where a school board would also want to see us move forward. Our strategic plan does that. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to the board for laying out some of those clear communications so that we can actually move towards goals.
And this is why I would just add one more thing. Like, even you think about, like, on last week, when our student board member shared his experiences in the high school, I think about listening to that conversation as a parent. That's not what any parent wants to hear, that if students articulate that they don't feel safe, that they don't have an open environment in their school. So like I said, those are those words from students, those experiences when you're talking to nieces and nephews, to your own children, to children in the community about, hey, what'd you do in school today? How are you liking and experiencing school? Those are things that board members do hear and are concerned about, because we're in the work for the children, so that they are having the best experience and the outcomes that can be provided for them, that they're having exceptional opportunities provided by what is done through the professionals that we employ, and trying to provide a quality work experience for our professionals by the things that we set in place. Those are our students and our employees are of top concern to us. And working our way through our strategic plan and with our administrators, we believe that we'll get there for them. Yeah. All right. Other board members, anything to add to our strategic plans, goals driving our agenda items? Okay. All right. So we're now at future meeting date, and I'm not in that board doc screen. What do we have listed as or is it the question whether we're going to have the meeting in December? What day would that fall on?
27th.
No, 2 days after Christmas.
Or move it up to December 20th.
Yeah. There's a couple different things. I think the only thing, and I'll say, like, I'm fine with not listing a future meeting date right now. Like I said, there's only so much time. We still have to lay out certain things, and sometimes you got to go slow to go fast. We'll be hearing probably by that time we might have. We should have heard from our ad hoc committee. Right now, we'll leave it as no meeting, and if we need to post a meeting, we'll post it. Just a matter of what things we need to coordinate. I think that's one of the things that I've seen. Just like we had to add the 6 o'clock meeting to get some things done as we're moving on certain things. We've had to add things, and technology has helped us, but we'll go without adding a governance meeting for December. And if we need to add something to achieve something, we'll get that on there. because we still got a couple things in December to finish up. Our regular meeting dates for other meetings in December are the 6th and the 13th. No, we got one.
We have the 6th. Sorry. Our regular board meetings is on the 6th, and then we have another one on the 20th. December 6th, and then the 20th are our board meetings for regular board meetings for next month.
Policy will meet on the 7th.
Policy 6, 7, 20. Yeah. So we'll leave it. And like I said, between those 3 dates that are already there, if there's a need or if something else comes, we'll just leave that open for now, though. All right. Any other board members? Joanne, thank you, Board Member Levy, for that policy date.
May I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
With the ad hoc committee on, that we just approved tonight, the date that was given at the last meeting for them to like have their recommendation by was the 13th. Is that because there's going to be a board meeting for them to bring that recommendation to that night, or are they bringing their recommendation on the 20th?
I would say, like, in the planning of it, it was to give some time so things would be ready for the 20th.
Because it still has to be vetted by legal as well.
Well, I think one of the things that when we look at like the committee, they might not have the specific question.
Okay.
What their advisory decision is like, you know, yes, you should seek to go to a referendum. Having studied, this is your financial position, these are your needs. Yes, you ought to do something. Right. It'll be on the administration and the board working together to kind of craft, if they say yes, to put things together.
Right.
That's more of like a informing.
So I guess my question was just, if you meet on the 20th to hear their recommendations, does that still give you enough time to run it past legal before it has to be
I can answer that question.
submitted?
So yes, it has to be to legal by January the 24th. And so when I mean submitted, the question has to be to them by January 24th. If we have our question done, of course, in sometime in December, that gives them plenty of time to review our question to get to the commission by the 24th. So the absolute due date is the 24th. We wanted it to be done a month ahead of time to get it to legal and give them time to process it. But if we needed more time, we have that flexibility a little bit.
We, like I said, by 24th for the election commission, there's some space in there. And then in January, we're just trying to have that part answered first, and then other parts put together. There's some, like, that'll come up in that committee work too, about having certain tools like the facility study or different parts of understanding what some facility projects might be, working with Baird to have the accounting done, which will answer some other questions for us when we get to that place about, you know, if there's an ask, what those things need to be. But we're kind of working with, as we, you know, on this end of November, we have December in front of us for the committee to meet basically, and then and provide us an answer on what their advisement is, and then the board still has to take action, and then we've kind of got the month of January to get things lined up, and then we will have, you know, hired a superintendent and got that referendum thing together. Strategic plan. I mean, it's a process. I think that, you know, I'm thankful for the board members that we have and that we're working together to do these things, and thankful for the administrative team and the work that's been provided, and all the personnel in the district to help us complete the strategic plan. Like I said, to have a driver and a superintendent to make that emphasis about evaluation and continue to move in that space. And now, like I said, we, you know, to address an issue that we knew was an issue a year ago, but it's just that matter of you can't do everything at once. And so we're kind of moving that space along, and we'll, we don't know how things will go in these next 2 months. Like I said, we look at that, where our state is at in the surplus that's there, that might be good news for us. And some things will work out in ways that we didn't think that they would work, but they'll work out in our favor possibly. And then also along the way, we have to make some decisions as we're talking about this reconfiguration. So the combination of those factors together, we'll get it done. We're just pacing it and working it together. Yeah. All right. So for future meeting date, we will not list a meeting date in December. We know what we're working towards for this governance committee meeting. And like I said, if need be, we'll add something. But most likely we'll pick things up in the new year in January. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
All right. It's moved by Board Member Megan Miller and seconded by Board Member Spencer Anderson. Is there any discussion?
Nice job, everybody.
All right. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. 7-11. All right. Good night.